TDS just got updated recently, and released a whole new tower called Trapper, resembling literally as Bloons Tower Defense's Spike Factory but human. He probably used to work on Spike Factory but got fired. So, here are Trapper's stats. Since a lot of stats isn't shown in some levels, at level 0 it has 7 range, 6.5 fire rate, 5 trap limit, and it can only place spike traps, at the cost of 700 cash. These spike traps have their own HP equivalent to their damage. This HP can only be reduced from collision and not stomps, and works like any other unit HP. Except the spikes will always deal full damage even when their HP is low like 1 HP. This stat isn't shown in game. Spend 450 cash and he'll get 1 more trap limit, 10 more spike damage, and 5.5 fire rate. This is the most cost-effective level for Trapper. Spend 1350 more cash, then he will get 2 more range, 1 more max trap spikes, and spikes will deal 15 more damage. Still not as valuable as level 0 or 1. This is where it gets slightly interesting. At level 3, Spike Trap gets upgraded again with plus 10 more damage. Trapper gets more trap limit, 1 more range and trap, and unlocks the landmine trap which explodes, which burns the enemy upon stepping on it. Unlike spikes, this has no HP. Landmines deal 65 damage, takes 6 seconds to be placed, with an explosion radius of 6. Its burn effect deals 3 damage per 0.5 tick which lasts for 0.5 seconds. That's weird. Costs 3,500 to upgrade. For the price of 7,000 cash, Trapper itself can place 1 more trap, gets 1 more range, unlocks the bear trap. Other traps gets upgraded as well, with spikes dealing 10 more damage with a second less placement cooldown. Landmine dealing 15 more damage, 1.5 less placement cooldown, and 3 more explosion radius. With its burn effect dealing 3 more damage, its burn lasts 5.5 more seconds, and 7.5% defense reduction per tick. Finally, for the bear trap, its stats has 100 damage, 5 placement cooldown, and stuns for 3 seconds. The stun duration scales with the enemy's height and immunities such as boss and energy. You can place a total of 7 trappers. Trapper looks like Jester but without the quality of life ability that instantly switches what Trapper is holding. I also observed that Trapper's upgrades is almost the exact same upgrade as the last level but more expensive, which makes upgrading Trapper a bad idea instead of placing level 0 1 by 1. Now let's test it. How good is it in all game modes? We're gonna be testing it in normal, easy mode first. Surely Trapper should be able to handle normal mode easily. I have to skip to be able to use Trapper in easy mode. Since the starting cash is 500 and not 600, which is 100 cash less than the rest of the main game modes. Whoops, I need to skip 1 more since I am 20 cash short, and now I can place Trapper and defend against enemies. It still struggles surprisingly. That's mostly because I used him at front. In later waves Trapper becomes useless since the enemies have way more health for traps to kill them. Even if Trapper placed all traps, on the last wave it's useless. The only use you can find is letting Trapper deal with summons and focus your main DPS on the boss. If I use Trapper passively by placing it at the back or away from the front, it only made my game better because I can spend more money on Sniper. Unlike another game where I maxed all of my Trappers, I lost. I decided to not use supports for easy because noobs don't have support towers for easy. Trapper still struggled against Gravedigger summons. Trapper sucks in the new easy mode. Even a free tower which is Sniper performs better. How about Molten and Fallen mode? For starters, Trapper performed well in early game on both game modes. Just barely though. I was able to farm a lot, which is good. The reason why Trapper managed to perform better is because normal mode's wave length are long, which overwhelms it. Trapper can defend just as much if you don't place it at front though. In mid-game, Trapper still failed against slow bosses which are weaker than normal modes. On Fallen, I didn't even try since it already fails at Fallen's. So I decided to use Trapper's landmines for crowd control and melt enemies' defense, which is very helpful in Fallen, especially in the final wave. For Molten I don't get the same value from Trapper's landmines other than crowd control in late game. That's it for Molten and Fallen. I tried pairing Trapper with Cowboy in Fallen. That only made Trapper completely useless since I need to rely on Cowboy to survive and get money. Now how does Trapper perform on special modes? His uses are the same as Fallen. but feels worse in a team. Here's how Trapper performs in solo. It's pretty good actually. I thought it would struggle. Well, that's only because I place it at the back as I should. Which takes so long for the enemy to die from Trapper. This is good for the devs so they can get more money from premium payouts. In mid-game, Trapper can be useful if you get max and set it to use landmine for defense melting. Other than that, just use other towers to deal with the rest. In late game it's the same as Fallen. You'll only use it mainly for defense melting and some crowd control, if Trapper is somewhat good in Fallen. What if we triple that amount? Can Trapper still hold against 3 times more enemies? No. Trapper has little to no use here, unlike Badlands 2 where it has multiple paths with one of the path being one of the shortest. Polluted Wastelands 2 features the opposite. Polluted Wastelands 2 is one of the most longest map in the game with a great path layout for coverage. The path length greatly benefits Trapper, but is it enough to defend against these mutated enemies? Unlike Badlands, it can defend all of early game, though quite pricey. You typically play in teams, so you'll have less eco to work with on quad, which likely makes Trapper struggle. On mid-game, Trapper's bear traps is useful against wave 28 rushers. You can easily beat this wave without any stalling tower though, in case you lack DPS, probably because you brought Trapper instead of a DPS tower. Then you can use it. And as usual, Trapper sucks after early game except wave 28. There is one more game mode left to try Trapper on. Hardcore. I tried so hard trying to find a way for Trapper to be somewhat decent. Tried using it for invisibles. It sucks. Farmed for 16 waves to invest on Trapper. It still dies from mega slow. We almost killed it though, but after some attempts, it can actually kill it if everyone used Trapper, which is a big no-no. On wave 25 it seems like Trapper can actually kill triple shadow bosses, if you ignore that level 3 accelerator. After that wave, Trapper is straight in the bin, and will probably struggle against Void Reaver due to the lack of DPS, or we'll just die from lead balloons cause I killed my economy by getting 2 max Trappers while my friend got a max accelerator. Worst idea. Trapper isn't good in hardcore. In fact, most of the part where he shines is often outclassed by cheaper alternatives, and some towers that are within its price range. Personally, I find this tower more rushed than Jester on release. Jester's bomb switch ability would help a ton to Trapper, but they didn't add it. Trapper needs a huge buff ASAP. Anyways, that's it for this video. Perhaps I would review the 4 rebalances in this update in one video later. If you like the video, like it. If you don't, then dislikes it. And let me know how would you buff Trapper in the comments. Gimmicky towers like this are pretty hard to balance. Thanks for watching.